now we actually going back to the topic that we started today earlier in the morning, and it is quantum computing and healthcare. We heard about perspectives on drug development, but drug development is exciting, but it's not the only aspect of our healthcare system. And I would like to invite here on stage for our next discussion, Dr. Janina Beilner, Senior Vice President for Education Services and Workforce in Siemens Healthineers. Janina, it's a big pleasure to have you here. Janina heads, as I already said, the Global Siemens Healthineer Internal Academy responsible for engineer and application training, as well as external customer education. And furthermore, Janina is also a medical doctor with 15 years of experience in the healthcare industry. So who knows better what healthcare system needs than she in terms of IT and in terms of technology. And she's also an appointed lecturer at University of Erlangen-Nuremberg, affiliated to the Technical University under the chair of Artificial Intelligence and Biomedical Engineering. This is very exciting, and she will be joined here on stage by two guests who will represent the quantum side of the story, two quantum computing experts, Dr. Markus Pflitsch, who is a quantum physicist also himself, and who is a founder and the CEO of Terra, a startup who is focusing on industrial solutions of quantum computing. And to join him on stage, there will be another representative from Terra, Vishal Shete, is a managing director at Terra based in the UK, and he leads commercial activities for the company globally. It's a pleasure to have you all three here, and I'm very excited what you will discuss about quantum computing and healthcare industry. Please just take a seat wherever you feel like.
Thank you very much, Natalia.
Thank you, and I will be here if you need me.
Yeah, as Natalia already addressed, the entire field of quantum in healthcare is really exciting. There is many different use cases that one could think of. Yet the question is it distant future or is it now? We have talked already about earlier today life science and how quantum could enhance the development of new drugs by simulating protein folding, for instance, or simulating also the interactions in between molecules. To think this a little bit further, look into genomics. So quantum could also help to decipher genomics within a fraction of time that we currently do need. And I'm not yet even talking about genomic encryption or something, or addition. I'm talking here about understanding the disease in more detail, and by that means developing a more suitable and effective therapy. So what we also do need then, once we have this, how could we use quantum sensing? How could we use it not only to diagnose maybe neurological diseases in a patient like Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, but let's look a little bit more in the nearer future. How could we use quantum sensing to monitor the progression of a disease or also the delivery and the dose of a drug, and is it delivered in the right dosage to a patient? This is a very hardcore clinical use cases I could think of, yet healthcare systems around the globe are really under tremendous cost pressure. And probably you have heard about one of the biggest challenges, that is workforce shortage. So I'm not only looking into clinical application use cases for quantum, but every hospital and also medtech device companies, they do have logistic challenges that could be optimized using quantum computing power. So looking into that, every one of us will, earlier or later, experience to be a patient. And that brings me to a question. Sorry, this is extremely spontaneous, but if I have the chance, who of you would rather trust a quantum computer with the recommendation of a therapy? Of course, we think it's a released application, rather than a human medical doctor. Just raise your hands. I would really like to get an impression. Who would rather believe what the quantum computing application would tell you is your therapy compared to a human doctor? Okay, I see some true optimists and believers. This is great. And that also brings me, Markus, now to my question. I mean, you are the founder of Terra Quantum, a really huge quantum startup. What is your catch on the healthcare topic if it comes to quantum computing?
Yeah, let me start with a small anecdote. Before I founded the company, actually, I'm a quantum physicist by education, but I left the space 20 years in corporate finance, investment banking, private equity. But in that phase, I still played around with QRNGs and how kind of the human mind could have an impact on these, influencing them. The whole thing about consciousness, mind, and matter interaction is so fascinating that actually brought me into quantum when I was a teenager, and therefore I think we have the connection already somehow to healthcare or the human body. So on a more serious note, yeah, Terra Quantum indeed is quite big these days. We have close to 300 people. Close to 200 of them are quantum physicists, 14 professors, 900 years of combined relevant quantum tech experience. So it's quite broad and deep. We do a lot, and we do not only want to do it for business. We also want to advance humanity, and I think this is the field, right? If we think about the potential of quantum when it comes to drug simulation, but also when it comes to understanding the human body on a much more granular level, right? Behind biology is chemistry, and behind chemistry, the underlying thing is quantum physics. So we'll understand with quantum computing the human body on a very, very granular level, opening the door for personalized medicine. So this is big. It really helps humanity. It's a very individual thing. You will individualize it, and that's what's fascinating me, and that is why Terra Quantum also puts a big focus and effort into that section.
That's really fascinating. Yet we are talking about the future. I somehow have the privilege to shift or to change in between the worlds, the quantum world and these kind of conferences, and really the forethinkers of this technology, and then going back into industry or going back to the hospital. Reality now looks quite different. The challenges that healthcare providers, but also patients, are facing today are quite different. So what do you think? Is it distant future, or is quantum now, to be really provocative?
Yeah, and we play with this provocative claim. Our claim is quantum is now, right? I mean, of course, the evolution of the hardware will take more time. We are not yet there. The QPUs aren't really scalable. You can't do too much beyond toy problems with them. But does that mean that we can't do anything with quantum yet? We strongly believe different. We think we can do a lot with hybrid quantum technologies today. That is why, and now I put on the head as the CEO of Terra Quantum, why we focus very much on things we can make usable and commercialize today. And the solution is, of course, we prepare our quantum software to run on future native QPUs, which will have a great performance. But instead of just waiting, we also deploy it on simulators. We have our own simulator up to 42 logical qubits. That's powerful. And running the software on such simulators and just very selectively on a few native QPUs enables us to, if we select the use cases wisely, to create an outperformance, not only vis-a-vis the current generation of native QPUs, but also vis-a-vis best-in-class classical HPC implementations. And I think that is what is very attractive, because that's when we can go to corporates, also in the healthcare sector, and we'll very soon dig in a few kind of use cases, but when we can go there and say, we can help you already today, we can create business value for you today, because what we experience, large corporates are tired of toy problems, right? You cannot go to a large corporate these days anymore and say, look, we have a great algorithm, this is doing a great thing in 5 or 10 years, we don't know. They say, okay, come back when you have when you can deliver. So therefore, I think hybrid quantum technologies will be the bridge over the NISC valley to make something happen already today.
That sounds like myself, just like speak in Munich. I'm also very much looking into the hybrid approach of quantum, together with HPC simulations. Do you have any concrete use cases or examples where you say this is the future, and the future is not in decades, but maybe a little earlier?
Yes, absolutely. So, as Markus was saying, healthcare is a really important domain for us, and we do quite a broad range of work in the healthcare domain. This ranges from, in the diagnostics side, for example, we're doing a lot of work in NMR metabolomics, where we're looking at the signatures of spectroscopy to help identify the presence of abnormal amounts of metabolites, which helps us then identify the presence of specific diseases, for example, prostate cancer. So what this would mean is, we would be able to, being successful at this, what it would mean is we would reduce the number of unnecessary biopsies and increase the accuracy with which we do these diagnostics, which is quite exciting. Also in the diagnostics field, we're doing a lot with quantum machine learning algorithms for image recognition, image classification and processing, very relevant in the radiology field, to improve kind of the quality and the speed with which we can do these diagnostics. That's just in the diagnostics field. Then in drug discovery and development, we're doing a whole range of things, from molecular simulation through molecular docking, binding affinity type calculations, binding affinity of optimization, through to clinical trials design and optimization as well. And then you come to precision therapies. And in precision therapies, we've got algorithms that can predict the effectiveness of specific drugs against specific subtypes of diseases. So which means you can more accurately prescribe a specific drug to a patient, which is the pathway that we see to personalized medicine. We're also doing work in precision laser therapies, where we look at quantum algorithms to help calibrate laser surgeries in such a way that you're more effective in doing things like stem cell regeneration, for addressing osteoarthritis, in addressing calcification in arteries, and in glaucoma as well. And then finally, logistics is a very important domain, even in the healthcare field. And a lot of the work that we do in logistics and operational improvement, we're applying into the healthcare field as well, from surgical scheduling to supply chain management and others. So you can see quite a spectrum of work that we're doing here.
And as probably to match it, I'm very interested to match kind of the industry needs and, what companies are doing in the quantum healthcare sector. So you mentioned personalized healthcare earlier on. So I'd love to hear from you, what are the kind of, biggest challenges or needs actually in that field, how you see it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is a very interesting discussion that is currently ongoing. Yeah, there is many benefits if you think of the digital twin of yourself. We have heard about digital twins of factories and systems. Yet just imagine there would be a digital twin accompanying you through life, and it was born when you were born. And you could really deduct the best therapy regimen, but also, and this is important, I do believe, not only look into diagnosis and therapy, but what if you get also a chance to not get ill? So looking into the preventive side of things. If you know, okay, I have a high risk for X, Y, Z, what could I do with my behavior? What could I do maybe also with my nutrition? Is there anything, any medications that I could use to make sure that I'm not getting this disease? So this is one thing I believe really important for every one of us to think about the possibilities in the future, to have lesser complications and also lesser patients in a healthcare system that is anyhow overwhelmed with patients. We are living now in the age where the baby boomers get into older ages where they need more healthcare. Yet on the other hand side, we do know that there is a tremendous staff shortage if it comes to healthcare providers. So it's statistics from WHO that in 2030, the world will be short 10 million healthcare workers. So that is definitely a topic that must speak to each and every one of us. And if there is technology levers that could help us to address this problem, I do believe that is really an important topic to talk about. Also an important topic we have heard just before about education. So that is when my heart starts to really get excited, because here we talked earlier on about education in universities. Yet think about educating the patient. I mean, we have had the discussion with AI earlier on, and I'm pretty sure all of you have some friends or family who are really scared of AI and who do believe AI takes over the world. And of course, there needs to be this discussion, and we don't know what will happen. Yet the exact same thing, if we talk about something so intimate, so personal, like quantum computing, that even us as experts don't understand to every extent, it's so important to also extend this education and understanding of what is possible and what is probably really future talk to a broader range of society. And this discussion is so important, I do believe, because there is also threats or challenges. I've just mentioned AI. Yeah, the same is true also for quantum. What about misuse, potential misuse of quantum? And I heard some discussions ongoing here. Cybersecurity. What about your own healthcare data? Do you want your employer to know your risk of getting a deadly disease? So this is, if we are talking about digital twins, a very important topic, looking into cybersecurity as well, looking into ethical challenges. How can we protect those data? Who is owning the data? Is it you as a patient? Is it a hospital? Is it an insurance company? And who is going to take the governance and protect your data to not have it misused? And talking about cybersecurity, yeah, you are the expert there. Markus, would you like to hop into this discussion on topic? How could we secure?
Yeah, actually, before if you allow me, jump on the quantum security side of things, because you mentioned AI, Gen AI, and there's the AI summit, right, just next door. So I think it would be really, really good if we merge these things and talk about quantum AI, because I think that's really, in a way, I think these Gen AI models are, boring stochastic parrots. What we could do here, AI, is something which I think is much more fascinating. I think this opens really a door to what something which you potentially could call creative. I think we'll not see that with classical AI. Yeah? So I think that should be kind of a topic of an extra panel. But on the quantum security side of things, that's one of our large business units where we do, our own quantum cryptography protocols, including a real QKD protocol, which we can implement today via existing optical fiber infrastructure, which we do already with large clients also in the US. But we know that the quantum threat is coming nearer, right? There is no safe harbor. Every classical encryption code will be hacked, regardless of symmetric or asymmetric. So the blockchain structures will be hacked. So, and if you think about further digitalization and transformation of the healthcare sector, so there will be a lot of digital data of you, very personalized data, floating around, being transferred between parties, right? And that is potentially coming via some type of a blockchain structure. We know the classical blockchain protocols will be hacked, have to be upgraded, and I think that's therefore a large topic also for the healthcare sector to work today on those quantum encrypted blockchains, which will not be hacked, where you really own your personal data and decide on your own whom do you give it and whom not. So I think it's a big topic actually. In parallel to personalized medicine, we have to evolve the security structure, and I think it will end ultimately in some quantum secured blockchains.
talking about that, and also you used the word already, invest. Yeah. Also knowing the industry. If I do invest, of course, I have a business case and I want to get the return on invest. I'm not sure who is the better person to ask here. Yet maybe Vishal, what would you tell the industry? Is it a good moment to invest? And if so, in what particular areas would you recommend to invest?
Is it a good moment to invest? I think the generative AI moment that we saw over the last year or so gave us a stark realization of what happens when you don't pay attention. If you know, a lot of corporates, a lot of industries now are scrambling because they were not prepared. And the moment came, and you know, people were 3 years ago, people dismissed generative AI, LLMs as, you know, things that will happen at some point in the future. And now suddenly it's kind of become so mainstream that a lot of people are scrambling around to see what they want to do, need to do. So that's an important note that, you know, the quantum is on a very similar trajectory as well. The exponential growth is coming, and if you're not prepared, you will be behind. And particularly in the healthcare domain, I think it is responsible. It is the responsibility of the healthcare industry to ensure that you do the utmost to ensure the best outcomes for the patients. And the best way to do that is to be at the forefront of technology and to drive the frontier of what's possible to see how we can help healthcare in society. So absolutely, I think the industry should be investing.
And on a more general, I think, you know, looking out of it as a former investment banker, we in Europe, you know, we cannot be satisfied when we say, well, we have a good research landscape, and, you know, there's so and so many spin-outs which are kind of seed funded. That's nice, you know, but we have to prepare for the more mature rounds when it comes to Series B, C, D, E, couple of 100 million per round. You know, where does that come from? There is still the financing gap between Europe and the US. And if the value creation should happen in the future in the quantum healthcare sector, also in Europe and not only in the US, then we have to work on this and have to be prepared, or the large corporates also have to be prepared in the healthcare sector to invest appropriate amounts to be on a level and to stay on a level playing field with the US and Asia.
I am investing my time because I do believe that quantum really has a huge potential in the future, maybe even disruptive potential in the future. What for me to summarize a little bit is important that we are addressing with technology the most pressing issues in the healthcare systems. And this is oftentimes shared in between politics, so the government, the healthcare providers, then the healthcare industry, as well as the patients. And only if all of these big players are going into one direction and bringing together really also the inventive power and the money, because we have not yet talked about the insurance companies, so I could have the best use case with also great outcomes. We all do know it takes also some time then. This is, I believe, a tremendous opportunity to address the workforce challenges that we do have, go into precision medicine and making healthcare more efficient and effectively. Yet I would also like to get your view or recommendation, Markus, for healthcare industries, or maybe the big players I just mentioned, because this is really a field of tension and we have had many, many different discussions on that. What is your take?
Yeah, my take on it, and I try to stay objective. I mean, of course, you know, I'm running a company which wants to commercialize, but I try to stay objective. If I look at the behavior of the large corporates in the healthcare sector, I find them quite hesitant. Given the size of the price, I still find them quite hesitant. I mean, without quantum, you will lose out. You have to have it. You have to own the whole value chain if you want to stay competitive. It's not in a distant future, right? You can do something already with hybrid. Yes, the great potential will be addressed only kind of on the mid and long term, but there is no reason not to get started, to say, or to have the behavior to say, well, look, you cannot solve this with a pure native QPU yet, and it takes 5 more years until we have that hardware, so we'll wait until then. I think we'll be completely wrong. I think we have to get started. There are use cases in other industries where we can show that we can already deliver value. Let's look for those use cases in that industry where we can deliver value. So I think it's a strong call for action. And to repeat my claim, quantum is now also for the healthcare sector.
Vishal, thank you. Markus, Vishal, from you, any thoughts that you would like to share?
No, just echoing kind of what Markus said, right? Like, so healthcare, like quantum will be so transformative to the healthcare sector. There's things you can already do today to accelerate the path to improve patient outcomes. So it's absolutely imperative that we start acting today. So act now, don't delay, is kind of my parting thoughts that I'd leave with the industry.
Thank you both so much. Act today. I believe that is really great advice and closing words. It has been a big pleasure discussing this topic with you. And thank you all very much for listening in and enjoy the summit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you have interest, because we have still 1.5 minutes left. Maybe you would like to answer some questions from the audience, if there are any questions. Okay, I'm coming here with
That's
my
Clemens.
mic.
That's Clemens. One of the leaders in the quantum healthcare sector.
I think we try with research to see where we can get it. You talked about value today, and I cite improving patient outcome today. Can you actually give a concrete example where you outperform a classical algorithm in a classical box that is validated today?
Sure. So we published our work in the Cancer Journal about drug response prediction. So where we look at different subtypes of cancers, and we look at the library of drug compounds, and we look at predicting the IC50 value of the drug compounds against the different cancer subtypes. Here we compared our quantum neural network against a classical approach, and we had a 15% improvement in accuracy where using our hybrid quantum approaches. I'm happy to share the paper with you.
Are there any further questions here in the audience? I don't see any, and with that, I would like you to big round of applause for our speakers again. Thank you very much for being here.